Our next guest is Terry Todd, and he's been around community theater for a long time. He's directed several plays for the St. Mary's Community Players, and all the world's a stage for Terry Todd. Come on down, Terry. Thank you. I apologize for not getting, these chairs are almost impossible to get up with a table in front of you, so you're not getting the full treatment here. It's obvious, say hello.
Hello.
Now it's obvious from your accent that you weren't born in St. Mary's. So where did you get your start?
Where did I get my start? In bed, or where was I born?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, I was born in England, 1944, Portsmouth. I was born July the 22nd, and I was born the last night that the Germans sent V-2 rockets into Portsmouth. And that's a true story.
It's not an alternate fact.
No, it's not an alternate fact.
So
I'm a little busy.
So what age did you get involved in theatre?
Probably started when I was about 8 years old with school plays, and then I went on to, we had a very large factory that I worked in that had its own theatre, and I started to produce and put together variety shows. Mm-hmm. By the time I was 20, I ended up getting married, so that ended my theatre life for a while anyway.
And so, how far in your acting career did you develop in England?
Not very much. It was just a passion as a kid. Like I said, school plays. I was in the Scouts, and we put on little shows and stuff like that. But I always had this love for theatre, and my mother, as a little boy, used to take me to the pantomimes and stuff like that. But to get involved in theatre in them days, I come from quite a large family. You couldn't afford to do it, you know. So
now, when did you come to Canada then?
I came to Canada January the 2nd, 1966. That was London, Ontario. Worked for a company called Excella. When I came here, I just finished my apprenticeship. I was a tool-and-die mold maker, but I worked in London for Excella Corporation, and then Webster Air at the time that went to Webster Manufacturing. And that was about it for London.
So when did you did you participate in theatre in London then?
No, later on I did, but not at that time. I was too busy raising a family.
Okay. So when did you get involved in theatre? Was it when you came to St. Mary's?
Yeah, really it was, John. And at that, I was very fringe because I became a single parent in 77, and I actually joined St. Mary's Community Plays, very fringe. I think it was 1979, and I'm not sure whether I got the shows right, but I had done Anne of Green Gables and Oklahoma. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. My first job was I believe it was 1994 for St. Mary's, and it was a one-act play called Sorry, Wrong Number. And I just loved the process. It was a one-act play that we done here, quite successful, and it was just, I have been in some shows, but we already had one in the family, which is Carol Robinson, and I didn't want to compete with my wife. I mean, she's forgotten more about acting than I'll ever know.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, I went on to directing. I loved the process of bringing people together.
So did you meet Carol in St. Mary's then?
Yes, actually I did. The first show I done with Carol was Charlie's aunt, and somebody phoned up and said, would I stage manage? I said, well, what does the stage manager like do? Say, well, after everybody leaves, you just sweep up. Well, not quite true. You're always the last out, but from there, it was a passion. I did have some freed up time, so I started to go to Theatre Ontario. My very first show that I'd done, a full play, was Sleuth, and that was for Ingersoll. I think that was 85, something like that. At one time, we were doing almost 4 shows a year. Like, I went out, and I got to be quite successful. The Palace Theatre in London, Ingersoll, Woodstock, Embro. There were just a few places that I went. In the meantime, I did do a few acting jobs, but it wasn't for me. No, it wasn't for me.
Now, what are some of the plays you've directed then?
Oh, I've done just about every musical, not directed. I've directed Jesus Christ Superstar, Cabaret, as you know.
Cabaret. Now let's talk a bit about Cabaret.
Oh, Cabaret.
That was one of the highlights of my life. I was like you, very much in the background. Deutsche Grenzkontrolle, Ihren Passe bitte. I had to speak German, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But Don has a bit of a story here.
Yeah, so, am I on? Good. So, Terry was director, I was producer, along with two other people. And so Terry was doing auditions. And so I'm just organizing the actors as they come through, making sure they sign the forms and giving them the scripts to read and sending them in to see Terry. And Terry's giving them the usual years. And then about half an hour to go, Terry comes out with a script and he hands it to me. He said, "Don, you're on. Read this." I said, No, Terry. The deal was I am producing the show. I am not going to be in the show. I can't do both. I'm a busy man. And he said, No. I just need you to do it, Don. Please do it. Okay, I'll just read it, but I'm not going to in. So I do it for Terry, and I get the call the next day about the cast, and the last thing he says to me is, "Don, you're in the cast. You're Max." And I said, "Terry, we talked about this. 3-4 lines," he says. "That's all." I said, "I don't care, Terry. I can't do 3 or 4 lines. I told you." And then you said, what did you say?
You can do it, Don. You can do it.
No. You said something else.
Oh, I forgot to play it.
No. No, you said it's 3 or 4 lines, and you get to make out with Sally. And I said, 3 or 4 lines? Is
That's
that all?
right. Yes, it was. You stole the show in the beginning. You had more stage time than the lead.
Yeah, I got to do the whole warm-up. It's kind of like doing a front porch show, right?
By the seat
You're
of your
all
pants.
of me.
Okay. What are the difference between doing a musical, a drama, and a comedy as a director?
Production-wise, I'm normally working on a musical for about 6 months. To put the show together, rehearsal time is about 120 hours. That's excluding the run of the show. A drama, I just finished doing All My Sons here. The drama took us, I'd say about 70 hours. I would say a comedy or farce, whatever you want to call it, takes a little longer. But it's just sheer volume, John, of people, hours putting in, the expense of doing the show.
I'm always amazed at the actors themselves. They put in so much time to come to the final product. They don't get paid. And how many performances do they have?
Oh, I think, we run an extra one, I believe, but 12 performances.
12 max.
Yeah.
So
one thing I would like to say about Cabaret, and a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you've done a wonderful job." No, it wasn't just me. We had a phenomenal cast. We had a girl that came over from Stratford, was unbelievable as a musical director.
Yes.
And I would like to say this: the board allowed me to do what I wanted to do with the show, which I'd done it 20 years prior as a producer, and I found it too squeaky clean.
Well, we had, I was there. I got to, well, no, I won't say that. Yeah. But I got to. I even had an ape come and, a gorilla come and blow a kiss at me. It was great.
What we did do with that show, and I'd like to mention this because there's a few people here tonight that were involved with that show, was it was unbelievable. We entered a competition which is called the Western Ontario Drama League. The most awards any musical had ever, show had ever won was 8. Little Old St. Mary's went in, and we won 14 awards out of 16. And thank you.
All I can say, and I'm not impartial. I'm partial, but I've seen the movie and I enjoyed our play more than the movie. Yeah. It was not the characterization of the people were not the same, but I thought it was even deeper. Yeah. And everybody did a great job.
Oh, it's fabulous, and plus we made quite a bit of money, which enabled us to do All My Sons, which done actually quite well as a heavy drama.
Okay. So what are you working on now, Terry?
I think it was about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, I auditioned people for Brigadoon down in Embro, the Thistle Theatre Group. I've worked down there for many years. Good group. We've actually got some people from St Mary's going down. Lanny Hall that runs Lyric Flowers, he's going to be the musical director. Funny thing is, 20 years ago, Lanny was played the electric organ for when St Mary's done it the first time around, and I produced it. So, but yeah, and the show does go on. I believe it's November the 23rd for a 2-week run. So come on down. We're quite excited about it. I had a fabulous turnout. We had, I think it was something like about 44 people come out, and I've cast at least 36.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking for somebody to lean against a pole, or somebody to walk away from the backside, Don and I are available for the show.
We're looking for somebody that would wear a costume of a goat.
On the back of his head?
Yes.
Oh, we know where to go. Okay, well, thanks for coming in, Terry.